What is going on, guys? What is going on? We are live. Sunday scan. What is going on, guys? Happy Sunday, Chop Bones. What's going on? I get the link sent out to the Discord. Give me a second. What's going on, guys? Good evening. Happy Sunday. Quite the weekend we've had with all the geopolitical concerns. What's going on? Come on, guys. You know the drill. Can't have an office that smells bad. Gonna be like banned from YouTube, like terms of safety, you know, open flame on the stream. Gotta have it. What's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Quite the NFL weekend as well. Zach Wilson throwing a late fourth quarter pick. What's the scent, my guy? Fraser Fur. Come on. Got to get those holiday vibes already, you know. It's a little bit early, but get it moving. What's going on, guys? We are live. What's going on? Wishing I had long W2I close. I can tell you that much. Yeah, crude is ripping. And futures are definitely taking a quite the hit right now. Let's see. Yeah, S&P 500 futures down about 0.75% right now, guys. Obviously, that is primarily, again, due to the geopolitical concerns. What's going on? I'm going to give everybody just a minute to hop in the stream. Hopefully, everybody's having a solid Sunday night. Ready to kill the market with you. Ready as well, man. Dark Knight, what's going on? Karen, what's going on? Edgar, what's going on, guys? Happy Sunday. Nebula, what's going on? Hi right now, what's up? All right, what is going on, guys? Sunday market scan is live. Hopefully everybody is having a solid weekend. If this is your first time joining us, this is the Sunday night stream. This is where I am going to go over my focus setups for the week ahead. Look left, what's going on? Stockster, what's going on? Happy Sunday to you as well. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic weekend. The goal of these live streams, as always, guys, is to give you a little bit of insight into what I'm going to be looking at for the week ahead. I host a free live stream every single Sunday here on YouTube, and we also do stream every single day for live trading and a pre-market live stream inside the Discord, guys. If you guys would like to join us inside and check out the Discord and check out the daily streams, you can use the code NVIDIA35 and take 35% off your first month. The link to join is inside my Twitter bio. I'm also going to put a link below in the comments and in the replies to this video. So make sure you guys check that out. It's been an awesome week. Past few weeks inside the Discord should be another fantastic week as well. We have a pretty interesting setup, guys. Obviously, we had a very bullish day on Friday. Really strong move inside the market. Hit that thumbs up. Great work, man. Thank you, Kurt. Appreciate you as always. Yeah, as always, guys, if you guys enjoy the free streams and you want to see more of them, please don't make sure you guys do hit that like button. It takes about 2 seconds to hit the like button, and it does help out a ton. I know a lot of people are watching NFL right now, but if you're viewing the stream later on, make sure you guys slap that like button. And as always, guys, if you would like to continue receiving the stream notifications, I'll probably be switching and doing the majority of my streams on X soon. The feature is still in beta right now, but as soon as that's like up and running fully, I'm probably gonna switch over to X. However, in the meantime, if you would like to continue watching the streams, make sure you guys have subscribed to the YouTube. That way you'll get a notification every single time that I go live, because Twitter is just not going to show you the links with the YouTube link inside them. It's just not going to do it with the way the algorithm is structured. So make sure you guys do that if you'd like to continue watching the streams. So here's the setup we got going on into this week, guys. I'm not going to take too much of your time this week. I think things are going to be relatively simple and straightforward. However, We obviously have kind of an added element with all the geopolitical factors that are going on right now. I want to provide a quick disclaimer. I am not an economist. I am not a political expert. I am not a geopolitical expert. So I'm not going to sit up here and make political comments based on what I think, or because I honestly, guys, I truly don't have enough information to truly comment on the situation that's going on right now overseas. And it's just not really, that's not my specialty. That's not what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is talk about the market. I'm not going to involve politics. I'm not going to involve any of my opinions on the geopolitical matters. I'm going to refer to it as the geopolitical matters throughout this stream. And I hope you guys can respect that and appreciate it. We're going to stick to levels. We're going to stick to my game plan for the week ahead, and we're going to keep it straightforward. So, Mans for Secretary of State. I think a live trading session in the AM like you did Friday afternoon would be so gas. Yeah, we can do that, no doubt. But appreciate you guys hopping in the chat. So like I said, primary focus for me going into this week, obviously talking S&P 500, guys. I really am going to be watching S&P 500 as we go into tomorrow. Like I said, as of right now, S&P 500 futures are down about almost 1% here, guys. We're down 0.08% right now on the S&P right now. So, again, we're basically pulling back into that 425 resistance, right? As of right now, guys, this is a retest, right? Futures are obviously trading. ES futures are obviously trading right now. And we're kind of sitting right at this 426 area, right? We're basically retesting that big breakout that we saw on Friday on the S&P. Now, this is single-handedly going to be the most important thing to watch, right? When we see geopolitical matters like this take precedent, we're going to see money flow into oil. We're going to see money flow into more defensive names, and we're going to see, the defense sector, a name like LMT really catch a bid, right? And LMT with, quietly a nice little update on Friday, and I definitely think that obviously this is probably going to have a bid as we go into tomorrow. The stock has been pretty much killed lately too, so it is definitely looking a little bit interesting given that close that we saw on Friday. But obviously, guys, XOM, OXY, definitely the oil plays are going to see a huge bid off of crude being up almost 3% right now. I'm not going to sit here and try to over predict what the market is going to do, right? I know what sectors to look at tomorrow, short, long. What's really going to be key is how the S&P 500 handles this retest of 425. I can't put enough importance on that, right? When we have a major outlier market event like this, keep in mind we have CPI this week as well, guys. Not as big of a deal anymore, but you've got this major geopolitical risk right now in the market. And so it's going to be very interesting. I'm not going to have as many individual names to cover because I truly need to see what the S&P 500 is going to do as we go into tomorrow. So if we do open up near this 425 level, guys, it's going to be very, very important to watch, and it's going to be my primary focus at the open to see how we deal with that 425.50 area, right? That is the key level here on the 4-hour, guys. And so I will be watching to see that response at that spot. Is BABA vulnerable? Personally, China hasn't opened yet, but obviously China had a very strong day Thursday into Friday. I still think the BABA chart looks fantastic right now, but obviously geopolitical risks, you never know, right? So, like I said, primary focus for me is going to be that 425.47 area on the S&P 500. Note why surprised why crude is up. Feels weird to make money off this BS. Yeah, I agree. But when you're trading the market, I remember when the Russia-Ukraine geopolitical stuff was going on. It's the same kind of stuff, guys. You have to just remember, it's the stock market, right? It's going to move off these major, world events, right? It's just part of the game. So, like I said, the big spot for me is this 425.50 area on the S&P 500. If we hold that spot, I do think that we can see a decent bounce off that level. I think that we have a good shot at getting bought up. However, guys, I really think it's important to remember you saw a follow-through day on Friday, okay? Why is that important? Well, you have a lot of people that are now long a variety of names, right? NVIDIA reclaimed its 50-day moving average, right? AMD is trying to break out of a 3-month long downtrend, right? or wedge pattern, right? You've got a lot of names that people got exposure into on Friday because that's how the market works. When people see follow through, they're going to get long their favorite names, especially when you see a name like NVIDIA crossing the 50-day. That's been a big indicator for the overall market. If you're not familiar with what I'm referring to, it's the 50-day moving average on NVIDIA. Definitely very, very important, and it's been a stock that has led us all year long. So when I look at the S&P 500, right, if this sells back below 425.4, that would get, that would be like caution is more than warranted here, guys, because what we'd be looking at is now a market where you've got all these new long exposures, and if they sell, there's going to be a lot of increased sell pressure, guys. So right now, the S&P 500 is technically set up very bullish, right? Given, if you just look at Friday's close, but you have to remember that you've got this now geopolitical event that's occurring, and if that provokes enough fear and you sell back below that key level at 425.5, I think you probably get some panic sellers, and I think you open up the door to see this 420 area retested, right? So I think that's why this situation is definitely warranting caution for me, guys, is because if you do not see this area get bought up, whether it's in overnight futures trading or whether it's at market open tomorrow, you've got a little bit of a scary situation on your hands in terms of potential sell pressure. Now, I say scary, right, for bulls. I trade the market both ways, guys. I don't have a lot of bias. I rarely, have large positions that I'm carrying in terms of bias overnight. Like right now, for example, I have a very small swing open on BABA, which I took very speculative based on the PDD breakout on Friday. We'll see how China reacts overnight, but it's nothing that's going to really take a major, hit towards my bottom line in terms of trading, right? Overnights in this market have to be money that you're willing to lose because of the just the overall sentiment. Now, we did hit a major resistance point as well on the S&P 500. No coincidence, 431.83, guys. That's that August low, right? If you look back, mid-August, we bottomed at that 432 spot. So, it's a little bit more natural that we're getting a pullback, although it's off of this now major, or I say major, but geopolitical event that is occurring. So those are the levels that I really want to focus on. Again, if we look at the hourly, guys, 425.47, 425.5 on the S&P, that's the big spot, right? If we break down below that and we close an hourly candle below, that's where my bias would start to shift a little bit, guys. If we can't see that 425 area hold, that's really the zone that I'm going to be paying very close attention to is 425.5 down to 425. If that area can't hold, guys, I think we definitely provoke a test of that 420.74 area on the S&P. So I think this is a very, very important level to watch going into tomorrow. So again, I do think we're going to see a couple different sectors sustain a bid tomorrow, right? Obviously, oil is going to be up. I have personally no interest in chasing the oil gap up. Personally, I'm going to go over a couple names that I want to look at. Obviously, I do think the oil names can definitely see a nice little rally here because you've got a name like XOM, which gapped below its 200-day moving average on Friday. See if it rallies back into that 200-day. But, I definitely think that given how big of a move down we saw in oil last week, I do think we could get a pretty decent squeeze on some of those names. So, now one name that I am interested in is if we do really see oil start to push, and we do see that larger scale sell pressure across the board, AMD is definitely going to be a short focus for me if we cannot hold that 425 area on the S&P 500. Okay. Why? Well, we're breaking out of that wedge pattern on the daily. Guys, if this is, again, if we see a fake breakdown here or fake breakout here, which could kind of be like what we're looking at, right? If you see a market that sells tomorrow, this would really have a lot of sellers in it because it's been trading really, really well lately. And if you all of a sudden now, okay, hey, right, we've got this major geopolitical event, a lot of people get nervous, you see a fake breakout type set up, I think you could have a pretty nice short off of this level at 107. AMD is also a name that becomes very susceptible when we start to see money rotate out of tech and into names like oil. Oil names get heavily rotated into. AMD has always been a name that I've looked at my entire trading career as a short focus when oil rips because we see money flow out of tech, and AMD is usually a pretty solid recipient of that. So up 4%. So What's my risk on the Baba swing? Like $1,000. So very, very small. Thoughts on RTX defensive name? I'm gonna go over RTX and I'm gonna go over LMT. So, but AMD definitely I think is interesting. I'd be looking at the 105 puts, guys, if we really start to see tech sell. I think there's a lot of new sellers in this. But again, like I said, this thing's been trading really well lately. So I think it's going to take a lot. But if it does sell down, I think you could definitely retest down into this 102 spot. So I'm going to be very, very close there. As far as Baba goes, if we gap down tomorrow, I'd probably be risking that weekly liquidity trap level. So the reason that I did swing some Baba calls over the weekend is you had a weekly liquidity sweep setup, right? So if we look at the Baba weekly, and this is going to be a nice little lesson if you're interested. So if you look at our weekly lows from the past two candles, right? When Baba swept those lows, that point of liquidity in this 85 zone, right? You see how Baba swept these lows and then closed back above, right? We got to close at 86.06 on this last weekly candle. I really like the way that Baba swept those prior to weekly candle lows. And then we get this really nice move, right, up to that 86 level. This looks like a candle that's primed for continuation to me. And that's why I actually think maybe we do see China outperform a little bit tomorrow, because what you look like you have here is a fake breakdown on the China names, and then you get a really strong, powerful gap to the upside. I still think Baba tries to test 89 this week, right? So I think that looks like a really good spot still, but I'd probably be risking down at that 83.72 spot on Baba. But hopefully, ideally, we don't even see that spot. So that's the, like I said, very small swing open on Baba over the weekend. My top focus going into this week, guys, outside of the S&P 500, I think the defensive names definitely warrant some attention, right? LMT, I believe RTX, same type of name here. What is that? Yeah, so you've got the same pretty much chart setup. Personally, I like trading LMT the most. Premiums are definitely a little bit more expensive on this name. But, if this gets back over that 405 area, guys, this thing can really push in terms of the way that the weekly is set up, right? We're kind of back in a larger scale area of demand on the weekly anyway. So I think that this could potentially push back up to that bigger area of support at 430, depending on how, quickly this geopolitical situation escalates. It's like to trade between 400 and 430, right? It's definitely traded in a range there. And I think that, retests of that old support definitely in the cards here. These names are probably going to be up a little bit more aggressively at the open. But again, I think that these are definitely ones to watch as we go into tomorrow. So another name that I do like, PLTR. I know they've got, a few different defense contracts. This chart is set up incredibly well here, guys. And as we look at PLTR, one of the primary focuses for me is going to be that 50-day moving average. Reason being, guys, is that 50-day has really come into, kind of a big spot as we've looked at PLTR over the past, 3 months or so. And so with PLTR kind of sitting at that 50-day, it's going to be at a really interesting spot for me going into tomorrow. What I do want to watch is if PLTR comes down and retests this 1627 area. There would definitely be some interest for me if we gap down and open near this 1627, potentially even down to that 1590 area. These are going to be the two support levels that I want to watch. The A+ setup here for me, guys, would be a test of 1590. It would also be a test of that kind of hourly uptrend that we have going right now. And so I would love to see this potentially flush down into 1590 as we go into pre-market. And I would definitely be looking to long dips on this name as we go into tomorrow. Okay, this has been a really, really relative outperformer. And obviously I know they have some revenue exposure that kind of is exposed to these geopolitical conflicts. I'm being careful about my wording here, but this is definitely one that I really want to watch closely. Again, 1590, as we can see, 1590 was really acting as that strong point of resistance. This 16 level in general has been very key. And so really 1627 is point number one where I think you could see some buyers step in. But ideally, I would love to see some type of gap down into 1594. and that would be an area that I would be looking to long within this hourly uptrend. And I'd personally be looking at the 16 calls, right? I like to play the at-the-money strikes. I say play, but the at-the-money strikes are appealing to me on a name like PLTR. It's a huge float, and so it moves like kind of like snail, but it's a really nice spot here. I think they have like 1 billion shares in terms of tradable float. I could be wrong about that, but this is a big one. So like I said, guys, nice daily uptrend that's kind of formed here. And that 50-day moving average is currently sitting at 1574. So within that area, guys, would be a very interesting 1590 down to 1574. That's my A-plus long setup zone. And I think we could reasonably get a gap down within that. I think we'd probably see that dip get bought as long as that 50-day can hold. So definitely going to be a spot that I am watching closely as we go into tomorrow. So that's going to be a big focus setup for me as we get into this week. Market crash for a day or so. Bro, last question. Will the market crash for a day or so? I don't know if the market's going to crash or not, guys. General Plus makes serious money from trading and price action. Yeah, I think technical analysis works. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here. So I definitely think so. Yeah, Roblox has been in a nice uptrend. Robbie, thanks for the question, man. I appreciate it. Had to pause football for the Sunday scan. Heaton, appreciate that, man. Love seeing you tuning in as always. So kind of to recap, guys, this is a little bit of an a more odd Sunday scan given the way that we're seeing things set up right now, obviously. And so it's a little bit shorter and a little bit more condensed. I really think that, before making any big moves tomorrow, we have to see how S&P 500 correlates to that 425 area, right? So, really, guys, to be brutally honest, if we're seeing strong sell pressure across the board, I'm going to be looking to fade, the retest and rejection at 425. So do you use VPA for day trading? I do not, volume is not a heavy factor into my intraday process. Okay. It's an additional confirmation point. I personally like using volume on the daily time frame and the weekly time frame when I am scanning for setups, right? I really like to observe, a really good example is SPHR, right? Had one of its highest volume weeks ever last week, right? If you look at the weekly volume, right? This is a chart that I'm going to keep on watch purely because of that relative volume, right? And this is just a good example. I'm not saying this chart in specific is one I absolutely love yet. But when you see relative volume like this, right, in terms of, a more larger scale outlook, I like to look at volume on those higher time frames, right? And really incorporate that as, okay, something moves up to the focus list for me. None of the moves that we've seen in tech have been high volume, right? Look at the AMD weekly or the AMD monthly, right? The AMD weekly, right? The high volume prints have been sells, right? The highest volume prints have been sells on the AMD weekly so far, right? The one that sticks out is June, and then we've seen the lower volume has been on these up weeks. So how often do I use moving averages? I use moving averages the 200 and the 50 are two that I've been looking at more lately, and I will use them when scanning for setups, right? The S&P 500 clearly had support at its 200-day, right? If we look back at the daily, right? 200-day was sitting at 417. We tagged that area, very close to that area pre-market twice, and clearly we saw buyers step in, right? So clearly that's a confluence point, and it's a big one, right? So I've always used the 200-day. I've incorporated the 50-day more just because, I think it is dependent on which stock you're looking at, but a name like NVIDIA, right? You have so many commons traders that are in a name like this. They religiously live by the 50-day moving average. And so you're going to see, liquidity is going to, have a focus in terms of that 200-day and that 50-day. And the 50-day moving average has just been such a key point on a name like NVIDIA. So when it's a key point on a market leader like that, I incorporate it a little bit more. Cowboys or 49ers. I'm rolling Cowboys. I'm rolling with Dak tonight. Joe Stonks. I'm rolling with Dak. Do I have any statistics work? I trade my system, guys. So if you're curious about learning what my system is, I highly recommend you go and watch the trade breakdown video thread that I have. It's going to include like a full recap of a ton of my recent trades. You'll clearly understand what my system is and how it works. It's based off liquidity traps. That's a much bigger conversation. One of my good friends, Ohio, dropped a really good thread about liquidity. If you want to look at it, you can go to my Twitter. It's like the third or fourth tweet down. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about my system, like a general overview, I'd have to sit here for probably 30 minutes and explain it to you. And I've done that on a bunch of streams before. So if you're interested in learning about that, I'd recommend reading that thread. And that's going to give you a good basic understanding. Yeah, the 15-minute is my preferred time frame for sure. Happy Sunday, Tom Yu. What's going on? I'm Cowboys moneyline then. All right, let's rock Cowboys then. But yeah, guys, like I said, I think that this week, I think you're going to see geopolitical worries kind of take precedent. Keep in mind also, we've got a short week, right? We've got a U.S. bank holiday tomorrow, so the Treasury market is going to be closed, and yields are very important to how our markets move, right? So you've got a U.S. bank holiday. Keep that in mind. And then, like I said, guys, this geopolitical precedence is really going to take place early in the week. This situation has to kind of, I'm not going to say resolve itself, but it needs to come to a point where we have a more clear picture on if this is going to escalate or not. So, if you're a newer trader, this is a great week to kind of maybe like stand pat a little bit because, like I said, you want to be a little bit more patient when things escalate like that. So my primary focus, I'm going to keep it really simple, guys. Like I said, S&P 500, I'm going to keep an eye on the defensive names, RTX, LMT. And then, like I said, I have a couple short side focuses within the chips if we see money flow out of tech. So like I said, my primary focus, guys, is really going to be on that 425.5 level on the S&P 500, right? More than likely, I'm going to trade the S&P 500 or PLTR. As of right now, I went over my game plan and setups for both of those tomorrow. And I'm going to go over a lot more on the pre-market live stream with the Discord tomorrow. So if you're in the Discord, guys, we're going to talk a lot more about this and kind of what my game plan is going to be. And so we're going to do a more deep dive into exactly what I'm going to look to do. But dude, these kids crack me up, man. All right. So anyway, guys, but like I said, that's going to be my primary focus tomorrow. I'm going to trade the S&P 500. I'm going to trade likely PLTR if we get that test. I'm going to keep it really, really simple because when the market starts to get noisy like this, I like to keep things as simple as possible. So like I said, guys, really kind of short and sweet Sunday scan for me tonight, about 30 minutes long. Those are going to be my focus setups as we go into the week. If you guys would like to join us for live trading, you can live trade alongside me and get access to every single stream every day, as well as the nightly scan, which is going to be a video like this, which goes out to the Discord. Hit that link in my bio, use code NVIDIA35, and you can take 35% off your first month. So what other oil stocks you look at besides XOM? OXY is one of my favorites. So that's going to be it for me on this Sunday night stream, guys. Short, sweet, to the point. Obviously, geopolitical week. Let's see how it turns out. That's going to be my game plan, and those are going to be my levels. I will see you guys inside the chat tomorrow for live trading, bright and early, 9 a.m. Eastern. I'll see you guys there. Have a fantastic Sunday night.